Good morning, Jodie. How are you today?
Morning, Lee. Yeah, good, thank you. How are yourself?
Very good indeed. It's a Thursday morning, so I'm going to try my hardest not to say Friday. Welcome everybody to a Friday webinar because it's not, it's Thursday. Um, so you've just made my week feel a little bit shorter, which tomorrow's going to feel a little bit longer because now I feel like it's a Friday and it's not a Friday. Do you know what you've done to me and our whole community, Jodie?
I feel like I have to apologize now on behalf of the whole Financial Planning Club community. No, this is great. I'm so excited we got to meet today.
Yes, it is going to be a very good session today. When it comes to anything tech and AI implementation, and the transition that businesses can go through and go on, that journey excites. It does genuinely, without sounding like an absolute creep, it excites me a lot because the it's an operational overhaul. It just works wonders for people's businesses. They get quick wins. What I love about tech is quick wins. It's what you didn't have yesterday is brand new today, and it's just that quick win. You can see immediate results from it, and we love stuff like that at the club as well. So, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get straight into today's session. Please do make the most of your time with us and with Jodie. Jodie's the expert with us today from FE Fund Info. Ask as many questions as you like. I'm going to try and draw some of you in today as well to see if we can hear from your experiences when it comes to a bit of tech and AI and implementation. We do have a couple of polls as well, so please do participate in some of the polls. Feedback is important to us. So when you exit today's webinar, you will get a feedback form. Feedback is also now important to you. If you do require a CPD certificate from today's session, there will be a part on the feedback form that says, do you need a CPD certificate? Please do hit yes, and then that will trigger a few things our end to make sure you get your CPD certificate. So complete the feedback form. Tell us how the content was presented. Tell us what your thoughts were. Tell us how we can improve. It's the only way we can get better. So please do give us your feedback. I do like to believe we'll have a little bit of time towards the end for a bit of Q&A, but likewise, just get your questions throughout the presentation today, and we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. Is the click up working today? Absolutely not. It's the same story every week. Here we go. Just want to touch briefly on the club and the membership for business owners. So, look, typically as an industry, we all know 80% of it are SME firms. 90% of people start out as very good advisors before deciding to steer their own ship. Then all of a sudden, you've gone from wearing one hat to wearing multiple hats. And some of them you might not have any experience with. I'm talking about your marketing, your compliance, your processes, your tech stack, your website. The list can literally go on. So when you just thought you was good at advising and you think, right, I'm going to have a bit of branding, I'm going to set up my own business, suddenly advising is at the back of the list because you've got to do a load of other stuff first. That's where we step in at the Financial Planning Club. Everything we do is based around giving you structure, giving you guidance, giving you clarity, really pulling in some accountability, the support, and everything in between as well. So if you are going on a bit of a journey within your business at the minute and you'd like a little bit of support, come and talk to us at the club, because I can guarantee you one of our members have been there, done it, got the t-shirt and come out the other side, and are more than happy to talk about their experience with you. So give us some of your time, and we'll see if we can help. Outside of the business owner stuff, I'm sure many of you know we get involved with a lot of stuff. We like to build a community that works for everybody. We've got WhatsApp groups that are broken into 5 different categories, depending on the role that you play within the industry. Business owners, power planners, ops managers, advisors, so on and so on. There's about 1,400 people now in the WhatsApp communities. If you are going to join, there is a chance on the feedback form to say what community do you want to be a part of. Do yourself a favor and mute the group unless you want to be having notifications going off throughout the day. Mute the group, go in it, use it when you need to use it, when you want some support, when you want some answers. Webinars, expert-led. As I said, Jodie's here with us today from FE Fundinfo. Face-to-face events, I'll talk to you a little bit about those shortly. Podcasts and CEO roundtables as well. So there's a lot we like to do outside of the membership for business owners to keep a community thriving within the wonderful world of financial planning. As mentioned, we are on tour. We are in Manchester, Bristol, Edinburgh, and London. So do keep an eye out for our face-to-face events. They are exclusive for business owners and for the standalone self-employed advisor, if you like, ones that are wearing multiple caps at once, ones that are responsible for their marketing and their BD and client servicing and everything else. So do keep an eye out. There is some information on our website as well. The agenda for these events is pretty stacked. We kick everything off with a personal motivator session, really enabling you to rediscover your why through a really interactive sort of session. So that's really good. People do enjoy that. We then look at strategies to win and retain clients across multiple generations. That's always good fun when we talk about different generations, where they hang out in terms of social media and platforms, and what kind of messaging really resonates with that generation. And then we then finish off with building a client referral scheme that actually works. So do let us know if you'd like to come along to any of our face-to-face events. You cannot sit and listen. It is about getting involved. You do get 5 hours of CPD, and it is completely free to attend as well. We've got a webinar coming up. I believe it's the last one of January, which is unbelievable to be saying that when it feels like we've only just returned. Now we are coming towards the end of another month in 2026. We are back with Bear Rock. This is all about complaint prevention is better than the cure. So this focuses on how firms can spot early warning signs, reduce complaint risk through better processes and communication. It's really about understanding what the FCA expects when it comes to complaint prevention and governance. So do take a look at that. It's going to be really good. I think that's next week on Friday at 10 a.m. Just a quick shout out to all of our collaborators. We couldn't do what we do without the incredible support of all of you guys and girls. All of them share a commitment to moving the industry forward through expertise, innovation, and a genuine desire to make a difference. So from tech to training, marketing, compliance, recruitment, and everyone in between, there is a lot of firms that we're collaborating with that can give you a lot of support within your business. So a big thank you and a well-deserved shout out to everybody collaborating with the club. This moves us on to today, shall I say. I'm really pleased to welcome Jodie, Head of UK IFA Products at FE Fundinfo. So Jodie, you lead the development of the tools used by advisors across the UK. You really focus on how technology can support better decision-making, efficiency, and client outcomes. So welcome to our webinar today, Jodie.
Amazing, thanks, Lee. And that workshop sounds amazing. Your slide there is really jam-packed. So everyone listening in, that sounds really good to attend.
It's full on. It's a full-on day. People do, and I'm not just saying it because it's our event. You know, I'm not going to be biased here, but people do genuinely love our face-to-face events. I think when you get to sit down and work on your business with other business owners, cards on the table, you know, nobody's keeping anything to themselves. There's enough business in the world for everybody, right? We don't need to be selfish about anything. We asked a lot of questions when people registered for today's webinar, and I like to feed that back to the audience. One of the biggest operational challenges coming through was admin and documentation time, with many firms also highlighting the pressure of scaling efficiency and keeping up with regulatory requirements. You know, that's something we hear all too often. Most teams estimate that they're spending between 5 and 20 hours a week on meeting notes and follow-ups. And for some, it's even more, which really underlines how big the operational load has become. So I'm hoping today, with a little bit of your support, you can show us and tell us what's going on in the industry, what you're seeing, what you're finding, and how people are really using tech to really streamline their business. What do you think? Anything to say about? Is that what you're seeing and hearing a lot amongst some of the FE clients?
Yeah, it is a massive trend. I think there's the time aspect and really I mean, these stats I think are quite similar to what we've seen in our research. So
Mm.
it's good to hear, but it's also, I think, exciting. There's an opportunity going back to, what quick wins can you get in your business, as well as some of the implementation for tech takes a bit longer to pay off. But there are definitely some, fast actions you can take and then more strategic actions. So yeah, I think this is interesting to hear and really good that it's in line with what we're seeing as well.
Good. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours. Also, throughout the presentation, stop share. Bear with. I'm trying to find the stop share button. There we go. Throughout the presentation, you're going to see stats and you're going to see quotes, and that is from FE Fundinfo's advisor survey as well. So these are not facts and figures plucked from thin air. This is directly asking the community. So whenever you see a quote or some facts, it's come directly from their survey as well. So it's going to be very insightful for you all.
Amazing. Thanks, Lee. And thank you for the intro. I've been with FE Fundinfo for about 14 years now, and I've worked across product the whole time. So I've done a bit of a stint in asset management and then in wealth management as well. So I'm really excited to be able to share some of the insights we found and what we're working on and how we're thinking about it and hearing from the advice community as well. So yeah, I will click through. I think I can go. Awesome. Okay, so we have a few learning objectives. I think these might have been on the invite as well. So really just trying to make this a focused conversation where you can get some value on how tech is changing, how the advice community is working. So going to hit on some strategic ways to think about AI in finance. Operational gains, like you said, like how can we actually leverage some technology to take that 20 hours a week down and use that time for something like growing a business or something else. How can you think about this practically? And then also trust. I think that's a big thing in terms of when trying to pick a partner or a tech vendor. How can you trust what it's doing and be able to report that as well? So yeah, hopefully this will be jam packed. But I think we've got a first poll, Lee.
I think we do. So let me just find what poll it was. So this is experimenting with AI. So let's launch the first poll. Are you experimenting with any AI tools in your advice practice? Now, I would be quite surprised if we get an outright no, because I think everybody, whether you've played with a little bit of ChatGPT, we like Perplexity a lot. Instead of going straight over to Google, Perplexity is a really good one to be using. I think, people are experimenting with it. I think AI plugs into everything, right? Even if you look at Canva these days, creating some visual content, AI feeds into that as well now. You can just talk to it what you want it to create and it will create it for you. But in terms of physical AI systems and tools being implemented into financial planning businesses to help streamline, this is always interesting because I think this is where the trust piece comes into play, isn't it? And the concerns that people may have.
Absolutely. Looks like we've got some interesting results coming through.
So this is interesting. So the majority of people have participated now. So I'm just going to stop the poll and share it back to the audience. And the yes, we've tested some, but not adopted yet. I find that very interesting. I'd love to know the hesitations. What made you want to start talking to that provider first? What's holding you back from implementing that into your business?
I think that's the really interesting part of the feedback loop, for vendors and partners. So I think it's great to see a lot of people have started to try them or test them out. And it's interesting to hear, using Perplexity over there. We use Claude a lot in our business. And I think it's learning how you can use it, how you can trust it, and what it can be used for. I think there's a bit of a, for everyone in this generation, a bit of a steep learning curve as this technology comes in. I think hopefully some of the frameworks we're going to go through might be interesting to hear if any of these will help around thinking about those that haven't and they have a few concerns or not sure what's specifically available. So I think, yeah, it'd be good to see if, reflect on this question at the end and if you have a different viewpoint.
I'd love to know the people that have said yes, we're actively using AI tools. I'd love to know, and if you want to throw it in the chat, please feel free to do so. Are you of the mind state of we wish we'd have done it sooner? It's you wouldn't be without it now within your business, because the people sitting underneath you saying that they've tested it but not adopted it, they need to hear from you. They need to hear the good things that is possible. Are you outright, we should have done this a lot sooner, and our business wouldn't be the same if we hadn't adopted these AI tools? So if you're happy to pop it in, let us know sort of what your stance is on that. Stop sharing, back over to you.
Awesome. Okay, so the first kind of section we wanted to chat through is really on, it is whether or not you're using AI, but also you can use AI for no gain really, and play with it. So it's whether you're using it strategically. So in the advisor survey we ran last year, we saw 91% saw AI as an opportunity, which is really promising because I think it will be. And there's quite a lot here that 92% said they were using an AI tool, that not necessarily one of ours, but just a general AI tool to help their business. And again, that's really promising. But I think looking at the results in the stat, it's useful to know, is that sticking, and is that trend sort of almost like a wave, people trying something and then, maybe falling back to something they do more in a manual process and then trying a different one. So I think it will continue to fluctuate. But there's lots of ways we can look at this, whether, using it strategically. And this is by all means not a full value chain of everything that your community does, but just picking on a couple of tasks or areas that everyone will be looking at, and really trying to look at, well, what continues to benefit from humans doing it as opposed to an AI agent or tool. And there are definitely some where you can see that your judgment or your intuition, your empathy really, should come through, and it should kind of be the predominant method of doing that task. But then there's others that AI can perhaps go and do for you, and you can check in on that and use that as a tool. So research, for example, being able to consolidate some research, present it back to you, and you still make that recommendation, that decision, that still sits with you. But there's ways to sort of eat into those gathering of data or charts, documentation, that can start to save you a bit of time, but you still own the decision. So I don't know if you have a different view, Lee, of what would kind of sit with what should remain human, what should remain with us, and what should we sort of give a bit of a leash on for tech. And I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's an interesting question. I think when it comes to the adoption of any kind of technology or any piece of technology, it's what is the problem that you're trying to solve? What is it in your business? What is the bottleneck in your business? What is the thing that if you could just get rid of it, somebody else could do it? Can it be automated? Can it be outsourced? Can there be a piece of AI that plugs in and bridges that gap? And just pulling into what Charlotte has put in the comments about the meeting assistant. I couldn't tell you the last time that I took a pen and paper into a meeting. I physically couldn't tell you. Even on a face-to-face meeting, look, Teams is amazing, whether you have Copilot or whether you're using Fathom or Otter AI, whatever it is, there are AI tools that can sit directly within any meeting platform. Even when we go to face-to-face meetings, we take that AI on the road with us, and it's like a little dongle that sits around your neck. And as long as we make the client aware, look, it's got an AI transcript with me so that I can be a bit more present. That stuff saves hours I couldn't tell you how annoying it was for me to go back with a book and write up notes and put it on the system and put it on here and put it on there. And the odd time I do have to write a note, it's on a Remarkable. So the
Yeah,
Remarkable, I can just PDF it
yeah,
to what I'm doing. It's just, I don't like doing things twice. I don't want to write it down with a pen, then type it up with my fingers. If I've written it down, I'm just going to PDF it and send it, or I'm going to transcript a lot and get everything. But as Charlotte said, when you use stuff like meeting note transcriptions, it picks out things that the human may have missed, different elements, different points of that conversation that you might have been processing on what you're going to say next, or you might not have been fully focused on their answers because you're planning your next meeting step or stage, whatever it may be, that you might miss something or you forget to take that note, but AI is always there. So it really does depend
absolutely.
on the problem.
I mean, I also find sometimes when you have used a notebook, and the Remarkable is a great product, but if you just use an old pen and paper, if you've written something and to yourself it's illegible later, that you actually can't read what you wrote. So it's amazing. I think
Yeah.
that's great to see. We did have, I think, so this was just, I think, fully encapsulates that example you gave. So we have done some research with some of our clients on meeting notes and sort of really breaking down what they would, trust to allow that AI to do. And obviously, there are parts to a meeting that AI, AI isn't present. It's not able to communicate, body language or empathy in the face, and it's, but it is able to sort of take that burden of trying to remember everything and allow you to be more present. So that's really cool that you've seen that as well. I think, so we've put a few questions here around, just to prompt yourself, what out of those sort of strategic examples would you find is the highest value that you should continue doing? Those that, think maybe I am a bit of a bottleneck and I can, take that away. And then really, check in with the vendors or your partners around, is this built specifically for regulated advice? Is it general? Where is the human checkpoint so I can, make sure it's controlled, and explain what's going on as well. So just a few reminders there as well. But yeah, I think another stat we had, this was earlier in 2025, so be interesting to see if this comes back differently this year. But last spring, 27% of the advisors that worked with us on the survey were using AI for meeting notes. So I think my gut would be that that's going to be a lot higher this year.
Has to be.
Yeah,
It
that would
has
be.
to be.
I think hopefully we're getting there where, that's most people are used to doing that. And as you said, even when you're in those face-to-face meetings, it's really, you're still able to use that tool. And I think it'd be good to see that trend go up and support that as well. So yeah, we had the, from the advisor survey, can you just help with the meeting notes? That's something that would save me hours and give me back time for something else. So I think that's really good to see that hopefully most of the community is adopting technology like that.
100%. And I just want to pick up on what somebody said in the chat function as well. Being a directly authorized firm, the biggest blocker from what they can see, it's just a fear factor, and you're not alone with that fear factor. You're really, really not. It's stepping into the unknown, but you haven't got to have a complete tech stack overhaul. We're not saying you've got to completely change your business. Start small, start somewhere. Start testing the waters, speak to the providers, get feedback, speak to other firms. There's a handful of people in here that have said they're fully integrated with AI. People within the club, the membership, we can introduce you to firms that are doing it. Jodie can probably put you in touch with firms that are using it. You're not the first person, and you're certainly not going to be the last person to have that fear factor. But just talk to people, and they will put your mind at ease because it is doing wonderful things.
100%. I mean, like, this is from some research that the product team did, and we have, obviously this will vary, per client, per meeting, but in an average scenario, just in that meeting context. So, like you say, not having to overhaul your whole process, but just take that meeting thing, 50% efficiency gain. You're not writing the notes up. it can pass those fact find fields straight back to a CRM. It can draft a letter. It doesn't have to send the letter. You can still have that trust that you know what's going to go out. Before a CRM is updated, you can still approve, flick through it and make sure it hasn't misheard something. So I think there's a still element of trust, and as you say, hopefully most providers would be able to demonstrate those trust points. But it's really, if you'd said a couple of years ago that we could say 50% on a task, that would be amazing to know that we're here now, and that's what we can do. I think one of the things that we're sort of thinking about, and I think the world is thinking about, this isn't specific just to our financial advice workflow, it's to a lot of industries, but before you would be responsible for each of those tasks. So, writing the notes, updating CRM, passing information from you to a team member, etc. And I think we have to all start to think more as you're sort of directing work, you're managing work. So you're signing things off, you're deciding, you're approving. You don't have to draft everything. You don't have to type everything up. There are tasks that you can trust technology to do. But to give you that comfort and sort of reduce the fear factor, you need to sort of make sure you still have that, approval. You've put the right sort of guardrails in. So you're not just saying, okay, I've had the meeting, it's extracted and updated the CRM without me approving that. You still want to make sure it gets it right, and that you have the right tolerance. So you move to more of a management of your of your tools, instead of sort of always having to generate the work. So I think it's a bit of a mindset shift, and it's definitely across other industries as well.
100%. Well, just even if you just reflect and you say, when AI first come to market, there was that whole AI is going to replace us. AI is going to take over. AI is going to replace that job function, replace that job role. Power planners are going to be extinct when AI hits the industry. And it's nonsense. And I think if you look at it where it is today, AI just enables you to look after so many more clients. It just enables you to offer that human element so much more, because the back office stuff is being dealt with. It is being handled at much larger volumes to free up your time to continue doing the stuff that people value the most, which is that relationship face to face. It's that rapport. It's just knowing that person.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you're sort of directing, you're moving things through your workflow as opposed to sort of having to do everything. And I think it's a really interesting shift. So I've just put a few examples here of like what that intelligent automation can look like. So we've already gone through, data from meeting notes, updating CRMs. A lot of tools out there now draft something, like a report, an email, from that context, that data. But an interesting one, which I think helps on the servicing and having more personalized relationships, is that you start to use these tools to monitor things. So can you use a tool to monitor risk drift or vulnerability, or those types of things, so that it's sort of surfacing those insights to you. You still need to go and take the action to pick up the phone, or word something a different way, or share some information, but it's sort of trying to give you that toolkit to have sight of things, and you're not having to look for information. The information is presented to you, so you can take a really personalized next step. So I think that area is going to be really interesting and start to evolve a bit more.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, a few questions on that one. So yeah, similar, track your time on tasks. And also I think going back to the first poll we had around those that have tried it and then moved away from things, there are going to be examples of trying something that don't work out. So if you are trying something, be honest. Is it saving you time? Is it actually harder to do that step with that particular tool? Is there feedback you could give on, if it did this, then it would work? As a provider, that feedback is gold. So I'm sure everyone, providing or developing these types of tools would really appreciate, how is it actually helping, and are there steps in there that are hindering as well? So not everything is going to work first time. You've got to sort of see what works for you. But that's, probably a good way to start.
Yeah.
But we've got our next poll.
We do indeed. This is saving time through automation. So if you could save 10 to 50 hours per month through automation, where would you redirect that time? And this is exactly it. This is, when we sit down with club members or people talking to the club, it's really about what type of business are you looking to build? Are you looking to build that lifestyle business? Do you want time to yourself? People like to call it a twat week, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. What kind of business are you building? Because the more time you get back, it then defines what you do with that time. Are you going to spend that 5 hours generating new business? Do you already have the business there, but you are turning it away because you don't have enough time? That's a big problem. If you're saving 5 hours a week, how many clients can you now fit into that 5 hours a week, or 50 hours a month? What does it actually look like? And there we go. Yeah. So results are flying in, which is very good. We'll give it another 30 seconds. There's a clear divide. People are either growing or they're relaxing. Yeah.
I think it's like a seasons of life thing, isn't it? Because I think there are some, weeks or, years where you think, I need to get, this work-life balance back, and, you've pushed quite hard and you need to balance that. And then, the next year you could feel differently. And if you've got the system in place to do that, you could then, it takes time to grow your business, to work on your business. So that's really cool. It is really split. That's really interesting.
Are we saying, Jodie, it's January, we are flying out the gates, we want to do more engaging, new clients, we want to do business development, we want to do, if you give me more hours, I'm going to do more of this. Are you suggesting that if we run this poll in December, people are going to be more focused on the well-being and work-life balance? Are they going to be thinking, I've had enough this year,
true.
give me some time to myself? Are we asking the question at the wrong time?
that is a really good observation. Maybe we should try it in December and see. But equally, January, there's a lot of people getting back to the gym. So, it works both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, thank you for everybody for getting involved.
Amazing. Okay, let's so if I can figure out, there we go. Okay, so I think one thing we've been, playing around with, and I believe personally, is that it's not just making your current workflow faster. This is a really interesting time to be, seeing this adoption curve of technology. It's a time to redesign it. So if you add AI to something that's a broken process or a bad process, making that faster long term isn't going to help you. This is a gold mine of being able to sort of take a minute, think about how do I actually want this to work, and I think I've got some examples in a couple of slides soon. But if everything is integrated, being able to design that system is far easier, because some of that data is, being flowed through to the correct places. You're not having to rekey things. So this stat, is unsurprising. Everything should be connected nowadays. So hopefully this, would be up to 100% next year if we ran the survey. So I think when you start to think about redesigning your business, you have to sort of just take a minute. I know there's a lot of shiny things out there to try, but is your data high quality? Like, do you have the right system or flow in place that works for you? I mean, that's going to be different for everyone. But is it up to date? Is it consistent? Can it read what you have? Because obviously if it's out of date or out of sync, that adding an AI tool on top is only going to sort of surface old data or use that data for presenting research or decisions that it's not up to date. And then really, how does that integrate across your tech stack? So if it's siloed and it's not talking to another, you're still going to have to rekey something manually for that one bit of data. And also context. So you've all heard, I'm sure, around AI hallucinating, and it really starts to do that when it loses context. So if it has the context of your client, you as an advisor, your firm's preferences, or your house rules, the right regulations that are right for that particular client, or for your practice, that is key. That context needs to remain sharp so that the outcomes are quality outcomes. And yeah, I think this stat we've got down here, so 60% from our advisor survey said that the lack of integration is a primary concern when adopting new tech. So I think it's really good to see, a lot of the industries coming together, prioritizing integrations, because it is an ecosystem, and being able to pass that data through really does drive those better experiences for you guys, and also for the end clients as well, because they're getting the right information in their documentation, or in their decisions as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? Even when we look at our business, we'd done this years ago. We'd almost have our CRM system, and it would have a completely separate marketing tool, HubSpot, if you like. And they didn't talk to each other. And we just sat down and we said, why are we doing everything twice? Why do I have to copy something from here over to there? And then when something comes in over there, I have to copy it into here. It's taken me twice as long to do one job. Like, what is that all about? Why do we need two people to do one person's job? Or why do we need two bits of tech? We need to look at it. And I think people just need to sit back and think, what is the problem? What's not communicating? What's not talking? What is the solution? Because there is a solution out there. You just need to go and get it.
Absolutely. I think, and I know we've been talking about AI and tech, but sometimes a bit of paper is really good for that. So sort of we really okay, how do we actually do this? Where does it go from A to B?
Yeah.
On to C? It's really interesting to do that exercise. And I think this is, just some things that we like to think about, and I think are important. So, if you're putting that AI layer, or even a tech layer on top, where is it pulling the data from? Is that where you want it to pull it from? Is it the right place to pull the data from? How is that data being trained? Some of these more general tools, can you explain how they're using your data? Can you trust where that data is going? Is it training the model? Do you have sight, or do you have control over what that can actually do? Or even who in your team can define that as well. It might be some companies would want to lock that, this is the template prompt that we use. That's just going to be Lee that owns that, and I inherit that from Lee, and Lee can make edits there, as well as sort of what triggers that human review. So I think we're starting to see, you can trust it to create a draft. You still want to review the draft. You don't want to trust it to just send it without you seeing that. And I know we're now, in the world of self-driving cars, maybe that trust will move over time. Like, we might trust it to do more things. But I think that right now, knowing where the human in the loop is critical, particularly when it's, a regulated decision, and being able to demonstrate where those compliant checkpoints are. So I think just a few things to consider there.
I think it comes with control as well. I think it's about having control of something, and just relating back to the electric car comment. With Tesla, for example, you can have the auto steer and everything. I would trust it. My wife, on the other hand, would want full control of the car and not trust it. So I think it's that element of giving the control away. I'm happy to give control away to the car that I trust will drive itself, where she has no trust over that and wants full control. So I think it's a balancing act, isn't it, of giving some control to something else.
Yeah, and that's interesting as well, because in 5 years, would she trust it? Maybe, because she's seen the evidence of okay, that it's more adopted in the world, and they have more regulation. It's a moving target, isn't it? So I think I like to think about it as this opportunity isn't just bolting stuff on, making stuff go quicker. How can you actually look at this as a golden opportunity to redesign and take a breath and redesign it, because you know that's where it will be how to supercharge your practice. It's not, you know, it's not a one-stop shop example. You know, there are differences in how people want to work, so that workflow is unique to you. So that's a really, I think, important way to look at it. I wanted to touch on briefly, like, what is an agent? And because I think agent is chucked around quite a lot. And this is sort of a way that I think is, you know, useful to think about it when it comes to financial advice. So it's something that can complete a task and not just answer a question. So something that can take an action. Equally, it has constraints. So providers that are creating these agents, they have these boundaries. You know, this agent can do this task, and this is the best way to do this task. You can only have access to the things you need, and, you know, it has this context, and then it fits in your workflow. So it's almost like picking the right team member to do a specific task and making sure that that is producing the right result. And if it's not, you can, you know, amend that and refine it. It's the same as you would if you were hiring someone new. You know, this is what you do, this is how you do it, this is where you get the data from. So I think that I just wanted to touch on that. And I think, it can sound a bit mysterious.
It can. We've looked at it in detail, agents, and it is a repeatable task where fields aren't moving. If you look at your CRM, you know that the field for ID will always be there, their name, surname, address, everything. Those fields are static, they're not moving. And that agent, it's almost like doing the job once and recording what you're doing with your mouse movements and going, I copy, paste, enter. It's almost doing that end-to-end process, having it recorded and just having that repeated. So that when a fact find comes in, the agent will copy that and put it here, because that field is never moving. And that's all it is. It's just a repeatable task that you don't physically need to do, because agents can do it for you. You're not just getting a question.
Exactly. And I think this is an area that will definitely be evolving. I think, you know, we're starting to look at what type of agents, you know, are useful, like, because obviously some of those tasks are just sort of taking that admin time away. There's also some, you know, agents that if you have, for instance, a way that you like to sit down, Lee, and look at your business and go, okay, if I had all this insight or MI in front of me, I can make a decision. So even an agent that goes and collates that and presents it to you. There's so many different ones. And, you know, if you take compliance as well, it can be super trained on a specific regulation, and it has, you know, all the context. So I think this will really evolve in the industry over the next couple of years. So we sort of looked at this, and I know everyone will have a different chart or a way of looking at steps in their workflow, but how could you think about maybe not adopting them just yet, but, you know, where agents could help you, like practical ways that you could apply AI or some tooling to these different steps? And I mean, these are just, again, a handful of examples, and you've touched on fact find. That's a brilliant one. You know, it's repeatable. You know where you know, you can take a transcript and pull that out, and then also push that on. But even, you know, going back to that monitoring, you know, being able to see if something's drifting, the data's there. You know, you have in your tech stack somewhere, you'll have access to that data, and you can start to see, okay, well, that's, you know, drifting away from the risk profile, or even, you know, the budgets come out and that is going to impact this segment of clients that I have. So I think it's really interesting to see those little touch points, and just remember that, you know, each of those would require their own boundaries, if you like it, you know. So just chucking that question into a general AI tool isn't going to always yield the best results, because, you know, where's that data coming from? Does it have the full context of your client or your practice? And also, you know, which regulations as well. So yeah, each one will act slightly differently. So I think it's really exciting to see where people think those opportunities are as well. So yeah, I don't think you're buying AI tools. You're really designing how you want that your business to work. It's the same as any other tool that you would be looking to integrate.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think this is sort of a few touch points. So yeah, just remember those. What should they be allowed to do, those agents? Are they going to draft something? Are they going to flag something? Where are the human checkpoints that you're comfortable with? And going back to your point, like, don't try and do everything. Just pick one thing,
Mm.
write it down, or try something and go, if we did this differently. And also, like, are these steps required? What is required and what is, because we've always done it that way, that kind of narrative. I know we have that in our workflow as well. It's trying to reimagine what life is like now. What is a really good use of your time. I think we have our last poll. I think we have the last poll here.
Our last poll is ready to go. And it is around the biggest concern about implementing AI into your advisory practice. Staff training and adoption, cost of implementation. Yeah. And this is the problem. The staff training piece and the adoption, if you're implementing AI into your business, it has to become part of your process. It can't just be that's there if you want to use it. It has to now integrate, everything has to feed through it. It has to be a foundation within your business. Otherwise, people aren't going to use it. People aren't going to adopt it. Staff have to be trained on it. So as long as the outcome, if people can see the benefit in it, and people can see a time saving exercise in it, and people can see that it's going to add genuine value to their job, there's no reason why they shouldn't be using the piece of AI in the first place. So that to me is lack of education on that piece of AI.
Yeah. It's really interesting, actually. We've been talking about training a lot because I think you've got one thing in how intuitive is it to use? Like nowadays, tools, that you should be able to go from, you log onto something, an app on your phone, where to press, even though you just downloaded it.
Mm.
How can the user interface of something all the way integrates with other products or, tech stack be really intuitive? But then also, yeah, I think if you're going to redesign, how it works, you have to acknowledge that that's sort of everyone becomes a new starter almost, because this is how we used to do it and this is how we're going to do it now. It's like onboarding a team again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Oh, that staff training and adoption is massive in terms of in terms of the results that we've got coming in. Um, no one has a fear of losing, or minimal people have a fear of losing the human touch with clients, because if anything, that should give you more time. Um, and I think you have to pull clients into that process as well, as long as they're fully aware of what's going on. It's a benefit. And I just want to go back to what somebody else said about being an age in practice. We've got a club member who's in a very similar situation in terms of they know they're going to have a big problem when it comes to servicing a younger generation, because they are not tech stack ready. Their tech is old school. They've got client portals that the clients are not bought into because the advisors are not bought into it. They know full well the younger generation loves an app. We all look at apps, we want to see everything at the tip of our fingers. It just has to be accessible. And if they're not giving those people access like that, somebody else is going to, and they know they've got a big problem there. So they are having a big look at their tech stack and thinking, how can we safeguard our business for the future? It's great now, it's profitable now. Is it going to be in 10 years' time? I don't know. So you need to think of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's an interesting way of how can this new wave of technology help. I mean, I agree with you. Like, apps is the default for a lot of, your banking and things like that. So I think that's key. I do think as well, how we present information as well is sort of, there's a fine line between, the regulation and then also how people read information and how that potentially can evolve in different mediums as well. So I think that'll be an interesting area that evolves over the next couple of years. I mean, accuracy and reliability of AI outputs, that's interesting as well, that's quite high. I think that is a real education point and a trust thing. And I think most vendors, should be prioritizing. You don't want to get under the hood of everything and know, exactly how something's coded, but you do need to understand how it works and sort of be able to, relay that to your business and relate it to clients, so that what's coming out isn't just, garbage in, garbage out, or hallucinating. It fully has, the trust of your firm's template or your language. It's quoting from the meeting you had, knowing what kind of guardrails are in place to know that it's not going to access other clients, and sort of pull that in just sort of understanding the structure of how the technology works. I think that will really help bring that concern down. And also, trying it out as well. It's always good to try it.
I was going to say, look, they're concerns that you've got to be addressing with the providers, right? These are my concerns, because you're not the only person to have this concern. Other people have these concerns, and it's what they're doing and what they're putting in place and the safeguarding that they've got to stop those measures from happening, to stop it from hallucinating, to stop it from pulling in different records and different files. It's just talk to people is what I'll say.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And sort of just understanding, how does it work? And I think everyone should have, it's almost like a build up of FAQs, because this is a new technology. What concerns do you have specifically, and can the vendors, provide a diagram or an answer to that, and just explain how it's developed. Because obviously, trust is the key thing. If you don't trust it, it's not working. We need to sort of work together as an industry to get that concern down. Some of the things we've thought about is that obviously, even though you're adding these types of tools in, like, you are still the value, you're still the advisor, you're advising and providing that service. So it needs to work with you, and it's not a replacement, and it still needs to be compliant. So being able to show, I think I've got it on the next slide, audit trails. Like, can you show from, in your example there about having a meeting, capturing the meeting, updating the CRM, can you explain the audit trail of, who used the tool, and where's the transcript? Do you have the transcript from that meeting? What fields were actually updated? When were they updated? Sort of all the stuff you should assume are there, but you need, obviously, to validate. How we like to think about it is, like, is this compliant by design? So everything from meeting through to updating through to drafting something, or providing some monitoring, it should know the context of your client. It should know the context of the regulations. It should have all these capabilities. So can we audit trail everything from meeting to advice given, in which we have sight of that? How do you help with the guardrails? So what is it able to do? What is it not able to do? Where do you want the human tech point to go? Yes, I've approved these extracted fields can be pushed to that application, or I've read through the draft and I approve that it's taken the right quotes from the meeting, or it has the right risk level, those types of things. So I think that's an area that really needs explaining by the vendors, and is evolving as well, because even in as practice, you're going to have different structures in a group that you might want to lock parts of that down. So I think that is a really evolving area. And then can you, I guess, if you're using these kinds of tools, can you explain how A got to B? What did you consider throughout the process where the AI is presenting alternatives, or is it pulling the right client needs out of the meeting? Your human judgment is obviously key there, to make sure that it's not it's still picking up on the right bits that if it wasn't there you would be picking up anyway. Sorry, Lee, I'm gonna cough.
Well, yeah, you're fine. It's going around,
Um,
Jodie.
I
This
know.
hot and cold. It is
I'm
going
gonna blame
around.
my kids. This is yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, that's how we like to think about it, the compliant by design. Like, how can we make this, in compliance in terms of the regulator, but also in terms of best practice of technology, and then more and more so, like, how can we, understand each practice's house rules, like, and sort of embed that into the workflow. If there is a panel, like, can we make sure the context of the AI is using the panel, like those types
Yeah.
of things. If there's a template, is it locked down, is it governed, is it showing the right output? So I think that will get more and more personalized as time goes on.
Of course it will.
Okay. So yeah, really just a touch point on making sure it's sort of purpose built. It's not, these generalist AIs have less context or have no context in some places of your firm, of your client conversation. That's a lot of personal data. So make sure you can trust that where you're putting that, or trusting a tool with that it's protected, it's looked after, has the right security around it. And then, how can you trust that something's purpose built for advice? So there's a lot of tools there now, and it's great to see the ecosystem growing around, solving those different pain points throughout the workflow. But where does it have the full, context? Does it have the right regulations? Those types of things. And I think it's useful to know, I think on the next slide, where you can still provide that governance and still own the approval or the ability to override something as well. Can you correct a bit of data that was misheard? Can you overwrite, and if you've had a different conversation that wasn't captured in that workflow, can you update that and make sure the AI learns from that as well? And then get started. I think trial it, and definitely ask your providers or providers that you're interested in learning more from about those concerns that you have. Sorry, coughing again. Okay, so some key takeaways. I think that was pretty jam packed, and thanks, Lee, for your time there. But we have, please, look at what's purpose built. Be careful with these generic tools and what you're putting into them. I think Meeting Notes is that brilliant gateway to adopting AI. It's the first point where you're collecting a lot of the data. You can be present, and it's something you can trial today without having to overhaul your whole process. Then I think where you've got some of that intelligence, map out the workflow, see where it makes sense to sort of try some of this AI. I think those bits will be, the follows to the documentation, because you can start to see or trust agents to do different parts, report generation, surfacing insights, looking for areas of, business opportunity growth, things like that. And definitely that key takeaway, I really don't believe it takes anything away from human expertise. It's sort of amplifying the bit you are really good at and can only do. So please embrace it, I think. And, as a vendor ourselves, we always want to hear the feedback. So those concerns you have, it's great to hear them. And hopefully we can start to evolve as an ecosystem. And some of those stats will improve that we're 100% adopted in AI over time.
Exactly that.
I've got a few links here. So if you're interested in Nexus AI for financial advisors, so that's the tool that my team work on to solve some of these problems or challenges in the workflow. I'd love to talk to you about them. We've got demo day Wednesdays as well, which is really great. And then I'd love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. Love to hear what you're up to and problems you're facing. I'm in product. I love solving problems. So the problems are the juiciest bits. I like to hear what's going on and think of solutions to crack it.
Can you just high level summary? Nexus AI for advisors. What is it? What does it do?
Advisors. So we have our Nexus platform, which is really sort of how we're trying to bring all our products together. So FE Analytics, FE Cash Calc, Advisor Asset, and now Command Deck with Contengo. So being able to pull them into a platform and then have that AI layer across the top. So from a meeting note, we can join the meeting, pull the transcript, update cash calc and CRMs, and then really trying to map out the workflow. So how can we build these agents to run some research on FE analytics, do a cost comparison on advisor asset, surface insights from command deck. So we're trying to prioritize that AI layer, if you like, across those. So we want to try and solve that problem. So if you're using our tech stack or integrating with it in part of that workflow, we can start to surface some cost saving, time saving, give you that time back to do some of those other things like go to the gym or build your business as well.
Absolutely, no, really appreciate that, and thank you for everybody that's joined us today, participated in the polls, and fired over some Q&A in the chat function as well. It's been really nice to see some good interaction and some fear elements. Charlotte, I love the fact that you drew out your tech stack last year, looking a little bit like spaghetti junction, and absolutely we see and hear that so much. And I suppose what I'd like to add to it as well, because we see this a lot in the club, and appreciate it's 11 o'clock, so if you do have to shoot off, please do. Appreciate you've got meetings. Do complete the feedback form. We'd love to hear your feedback. Do let us know if you need your CPD certificate as well on the feedback form. What I do want to add is a lot of people, when they're busy and they need more time, they do lean on tech a hell of a lot. You know, tech. Where can I save some time? It's got to be my tech. Sometimes you need to look at yourself as well. I think that's so important. I think the more time we spend in a job, the more roles and responsibilities we start taking on. What started off here, you've now got loads of other day-to-day duties and day-to-day responsibilities that might take you away from the job that you once started out doing. Very much like an advisor being an advisor until they set up a business, and now they're wearing all these other caps as well. So very much in the way that Charlotte mapped out her full tech stack and said it's an absolute mess. Map out what you do day to day as well. Write down everything that you do day to day, because I bet there's some elements of what you do that somebody else can do or a piece of tech can do. And that's another good way that you can really start saving some time. You might look at your roles and responsibilities over the course. And we always say, look, if you're going to run a roles and responsibilities exercise, run it over 6 to 8 weeks. Get a really clear picture as to everything that you do within your business. And then you can start identifying what it is are your superpowers that you're not letting go of, and what it is a bit of tech can do for you. Why am I doing that when tech, why am I writing up all these meeting notes when a piece of tech can do that? So you're saving time by implementing tech, but identifying a bit of a problem through your day-to-day activities as well. So there's so many ways that you can find little little wins. David, when you exit, when you hit leave webinar, the feedback form will pop up. So when you leave today's webinar, the feedback form will pop up. So if anybody's got any questions, please do fire them away. Jodie's here. She's happy to answer any questions that you do have. For the purpose as well, I will stop the recording. So thank you everybody for joining us today.